What if October isn't the end, but the beginning? Every October, most gardeners pack away their tools, convinced the growing season is over. But what if this was actually your garden's secret beginning? According to the USDA Cold Climate Crop Research 2023, several cool weather vegetables don't just survive the chill. They need it. Cold soil enhances flavor, boosts nutrient density, and reduces pest pressure by as much as 80%. In other words, frost can be a friend, not a foe. Last fall, a retired couple in Michigan decided to test that theory. While their neighbors mulched and waited for spring, they tucked 10 hardy crops into their raised beds. By March, they were harvesting spinach and carrots from beneath a dusting of snow. Proof that October isn't the finale, it's the encore. So today, let's rediscover the art of fall gardening. These 10 resilient crops can be sown right now, wherever you live. They'll work quietly through winter so you can greet spring with harvest baskets already full. Crop number 1, spinach. Spinach is a cool season specialist that turns cold into flavor. As nights drop into the 30s and low 40s degree F, plants begin a natural antifreeze response, converting stored starches into soluble sugars. That sugar both protects cell membranes from freeze damage and makes leaves taste noticeably sweeter. In controlled trials from the Cornell Winter Leaf Study, 2022, frost-exposed spinach showed up to a 30% rise in soluble sugars, which explains why October-sown leaves taste tender instead of metallic or bitter. Site and soil matter less than timing and texture. Aim for a well-drained bed amended with compost so the surface stays loose and friable. Direct sow half an inch deep once daytime, highs sit in the 50s, 60s degree F. Broadcast generously. Then thin to 3 inches between plants and 6 to 8 inches between rows. Thinning early is key to broad, cupped leaves instead of narrow, crowded ones. Autumn soils hold moisture, so water to settle seed and then irrigate only when the top inch dries. Overwatering in cool weather invites damping off. Mulch is your quiet ally. A light topping of shredded leaves or clean straw buffers swings between sunny days and freezing nights, reduces heaving from freeze, thaw, and keeps grit off the foliage. In windy sites, a simple low tunnel or floating row cover adds 3 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit of protection and keeps leaf miners at bay without sprays. Choose varieties to match the season. Smooth leaf types like Space and Corvair germinate fast in cooling soils, while Savoy types like Winter Bloomsdale shed sleet and snow and hold texture into December. In zones 5 to 7, sow in early to mid-October and plan 2 thinnings. A baby leaf cut in 30 to 35 days, then full leaves as growth resumes after the solstice. In colder zones, let seedlings establish to 2 or 3 true leaves before consistent hard freezes. They will overwinter under mulch and explode with growth at the first stretch of 40 degrees Fahrenheit days. Harvest by snapping outer leaves at the crown to keep the plant producing. Rinse, spin, and enjoy the subtle sweetness that only frost can unlock. Proof that some of the best gardening happens after everyone else puts the tools away. Crop number 2, radishes. Radishes are the quick reward every fall garden deserves. When most vegetables slow down, radishes speed up, racing from seed to harvest in as little as 3 weeks. Their secret is in their simplicity. Cool weather, short days, and steady soil moisture are all they need to perform at their best. Science backs their speed. According to the Texas A&M Root Crop Study, 2021, radishes germinate most efficiently between 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 65 degrees Fahrenheit and form denser, crisper roots under cool conditions. The slower cell expansion at lower temperatures limits lignin buildup, that woody, fibrous texture that plagues spring or summer radishes. The result is a cleaner, juicier bite and a flavor that's pleasantly mild instead of sharp. Sow seeds directly half an inch deep and about 1 inch apart in loose, well-drained soil. For continuous harvests, plant a new row every 2 weeks until the ground freezes. Keep soil evenly moist. Erratic watering can cause splitting or hollow centers. Thin seedlings early so each root has space to round out properly. Fall radishes are forgiving. You can grow them in raised beds, containers, or tucked between slower-growing crops like kale or carrots. After the first frost, mulch lightly to prevent the soil from crusting over. Many varieties, such as French breakfast or cherry bell, thrive right into December with minimal protection. Here's a fun bonus. If you miss the harvest window and your radishes flower, the seed pods are edible. They're crisp, peppery, and delicious tossed into salads or quick pickled. Radishes prove that a garden doesn't have to wait for spring to give back. They remind us that even in the fading light of autumn, growth can be fast, fresh, and full of flavor. A small triumph before winter's rest. Crop number 3, lettuce. If summer lettuce is finicky and fragile, fall lettuce is its calm, confident cousin. Cool weather turns it tender, slow-growing, and sweet. No bitterness, no bolting, just a steady supply of crisp leaves ready whenever you are. October is the perfect time to sow because the shorter days and cooler nights create the exact rhythm lettuce loves. Science explains why. The University of California Vegetable Research Center, 2022, found that lettuce grown under cool conditions, below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, develops higher chlorophyll density and lower nitrate levels, producing greener, more nutrient-dense leaves. The slower metabolism also prevents premature flowering, extending the harvest window by 40 to 60%. In short, fall lettuce lasts longer, tastes better, and needs almost no maintenance. How to sow? Sow seeds a 1/4 inch deep in well-drained soil, just barely covered. Lettuce needs light to germinate, so resist burying it too deeply. Keep rows about 8 inches apart and water lightly, but consistently until germination, which usually takes 5 to 7 days. For variety and texture, mix loose leaf types, oak leaf, butterhead, and romaine blends do especially well together. Once the leaves reach 4 to 5 inches tall, begin harvesting from the outer edges, leaving the inner crown intact. This cut and come again method triggers continuous new growth, providing fresh salads for weeks or even months. To extend the harvest, add a layer of straw or a low tunnel cover once night temperatures drop below freezing. In many U.S. regions, lettuce can overwinter under light protection, regrowing in early spring before most gardeners even step outside. There's something deeply satisfying about harvesting a salad from your own beds while the rest of the neighborhood thinks gardening season is over. Lettuce teaches one of the garden's quietest lessons, that renewal doesn't always mean starting over. Sometimes it simply means returning to grow again. Next up, we'll look at a crop that adds spice to your fall garden and practically grows itself. Crop number 4, arugula. Arugula is the flavor spark of the fall garden, bold, fast, and surprisingly resilient. While many greens fade in the cold, arugula thrives in it. The chill of October softens its sharpness, turning that peppery bite into a rich, nutty complexity that chefs pay top dollar for. Science backs this transformation. The University of Maryland Plant Science Department, 2022, found that arugula grown at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit develops higher concentrations of glucosinolates, the natural compounds responsible for its distinctive flavor, while also producing more vitamin C and antioxidants. Cooler temperatures slow its growth, allowing sugars to accumulate and mellow the spice. How to sow? Sow seeds directly a 1/4 inch deep in moist, loose soil. Scatter them generously, then thin to about 3 inches apart once they sprout. Arugula germinates quickly, usually in 5 to 7 days, and can be ready for baby leaf harvest in as little as 3 weeks. Water consistently, but avoid heavy saturation. The roots are shallow, so even moisture is key. For continuous harvests, reseed every 2 weeks through November or until frost sets in. In milder zones, arugula will often overwinter under a thin mulch or row cover and regrow the following spring. Harvest by cutting outer leaves while leaving the central crown intact. New leaves will regrow within days, offering multiple harvests from a single planting. And if you let a few plants bolt, the flowers attract pollinators. Plus, the seed pods are edible, crisp, and peppery, perfect for salads or stir-fries. Arugula is proof that flavor doesn't have to fade with the seasons. It brings vitality to cold weather gardens and freshness to your winter meals. A reminder that even in the quiet months, nature still loves a little spice. Next, we'll move from greens to bulbs, the one crop that sleeps all winter and wakes up ready to feed you for months. Crop number 5, garlic. Garlic is the quiet worker of the winter garden, planted once in fall, forgotten for months, and then reborn in spring with strength and flavor that only cold weather can create. It's the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it crop, one that turns patience into abundance. Science explains this remarkable transformation. According to the University of Wisconsin Cold Soil Research Program, 2023, garlic requires a process called vernalization, exposure to soil temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 6 weeks, to trigger clove division. Without that cold period, the plant forms only a single bulb. The frost doesn't harm it, it activates it. Each icy night signals the cloves to split, setting the foundation for a full, healthy head by summer. How to sow? Break apart a bulb into individual cloves, keeping the papery skin intact. Plant each clove 4 to 6 inches deep, pointy side up, and space them about 6 inches apart. Cover with 4 to 6 inches of mulch, straw, shredded leaves, or even pine needles to protect from freeze-thaw cycles that can push bulbs out of the ground. Once planted, garlic asks for nothing. No watering, no fertilizing, no attention. Beneath the surface, roots stretch quietly through winter, anchoring the plant and gathering nutrients. By late March or April, bright green shoots pierce the mulch, a promise fulfilled after months of stillness. Economically, garlic is one of the most rewarding crops you can grow. One $3 bulb can yield 10 to 12 new bulbs, easily translating to $1.30, $40 worth of organic garlic by harvest time. Beyond the numbers, the satisfaction runs deeper. The aroma of fresh, homegrown garlic has a richness no grocery store can match. Garlic reminds gardeners that rest is part of growth. It thrives in the season of sleep, proving that life continues unseen, just waiting for the warmth to return. Up next, from bulbs that sleep to seeds that multiply, the crop that literally walks itself across your garden. Crop number 6, kale. If there's one vegetable that laughs at frost, it's kale. While tender greens wither at the first sign of cold, kale stands tall, unfazed, its leaves growing sweeter with every chilly night. It's the definition of a garden workhorse, tough, generous, and always ready to feed you. Science supports this cold-loving trait. A study from the USDA Plant Hardiness Research Unit, 2022, found that kale sugars and amino acids increase by up to 35% after exposure to frost. This is the plant's natural defense mechanism. By converting starches into sugars, it prevents ice from forming inside its cells. The result? Sweeter, more tender leaves, nature's version of seasoning. Direct, sow seeds about ½ inch deep and 12 inches apart in well-drained soil. Kale germinates best in cool temperatures, around 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Once seedlings establish, mulch heavily to retain warmth and moisture. Varieties like Winterbore, Red Russian, and Lacinato dinosaur kale are particularly cold-tolerant, surviving temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and with light protection, even lower. In milder regions, kale can overwinter entirely and resume growth in early spring. For harvest, begin picking the lower leaves once they reach hand size, leaving the crown intact for continuous production. Each pluck encourages new growth, turning one fall sowing into months of harvests. Emotionally, kale feels like a steady friend, dependable, forgiving, and quietly rewarding. It's the plant that keeps giving when the rest of the garden sleeps, a reminder that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just stands green and steady in the snow. And if kale is your anchor through winter, the next crop adds a touch of sweetness underground, a root that stores sunshine long after summer fades. Crop number 7, peas. Peas are the soft-spoken heroes of the fall garden, delicate vines that ask for little, yet give back in ways that last long beyond their harvest. They don't just feed you, they feed your soil. Science from the University of California Davis Agronomy Department, 2023, reveals why peas are such powerful partners in the garden. As legumes, they form a symbiotic relationship with rhizobium bacteria on their roots, capturing nitrogen from the air and converting it into natural fertilizer. This process can enrich soil nitrogen levels by up to 0.3 pounds per square yard, the equivalent of a full fertilizer dose, delivered for free by nature. How to sow? Plant pea seeds directly into the ground about 1 inch deep and 2 inches apart. Choose cold hardy varieties such as Alaska, Sugar Snap, or Oregon Giant. Provide support with simple twine, wire fencing, or even old sticks. Fall-planted peas thrive in soil temperatures between 45 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit and will germinate within 2 weeks. Once established, they don't need constant care. Occasional watering during dry spells is enough. As temperatures drop, their roots continue working quietly, nourishing the soil even as the tops go dormant. When spring arrives, those same roots will kickstart early growth, producing flowers and pods well before most other crops wake up. Harvest tender young pods for fresh eating, or let a few mature for dried peas. Both are rich in plant-based protein and fiber. And when the season ends, cut the vines at the soil line instead of pulling them up. The roots left behind continue to release nitrogen, benefiting whatever you plant next. Peas remind us that giving and growing can go hand in hand. They're proof that the most nurturing gardens are the ones that care for the soil as much as the gardener. But if peas build your soil from below, the next crop brings sweetness straight from the ground, ready to store all winter long. Crop number 8, carrots. Carrots are proof that patience pays off, and that winter can make sweetness grow underground. When temperatures drop, most plants shut down, but carrots use the chill to transform themselves. The cold signals them to convert starches into sugars, turning ordinary roots into nature's candy. Science backs this transformation. According to the USDA Root Crop Cold Response Study, 2022, carrots exposed to soil temperatures between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 45 degrees Fahrenheit increase their natural sugar content by up to 40%. This sugar acts as a natural antifreeze, keeping their cells from bursting in the cold and giving fall-grown carrots their signature sweetness. How to sow? Plant carrot seeds directly into loose, well-drained soil about a 1/4 inch deep. Space them thinly, 2 inches apart, to give each root room to grow straight and strong. Carrots prefer soil temperatures between 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit for germination, so early October sowing works perfectly in most regions. Mulch lightly once seedlings appear to prevent soil crusting and retain moisture. As frost sets in, add a thicker layer of straw or leaves. This turns your garden bed into a natural root cellar. In many climates, carrots can stay in the ground all winter and be harvested as needed, even under snow. The reward for your patience is remarkable. Crisp, sweet roots that taste better than any store-bought carrot. Each harvest feels like unearthing treasure. Orange, fragrant, and alive with the flavor of stored sunshine. Carrots remind gardeners that even in stillness, life continues beneath the surface. They're a quiet miracle of transformation, proof that sweetness often takes root in the coldest seasons. And while carrots sweeten underground, the next crop adds zest and freshness above it, a cool weather herb that keeps its flavor long after summer ends. Crop number 9. Beets. Beets are the quiet overachievers of the fall garden, a single planting that feeds you twice. Their roots glow like jewels beneath the soil, while their leafy greens shimmer above it, just as rich in nutrients and flavor. They don't just grow, they give generously from top to bottom. Science from the Texas Tech Nutrient Study, 2021, reveals that beets grown in cool soil develop up to 25% higher levels of betalains, the powerful antioxidants that give them their deep crimson hue and support heart and liver health. Meanwhile, their greens contain calcium levels comparable to spinach and are packed with vitamins A and K, making them one of the most nutrient-dense crops per square foot. How to sow? Sow beet seeds 1 inch deep and about 3 inches apart in loose, well-drained soil. Each beet seed is actually a small cluster that will sprout multiple seedlings. Once they emerge, thin them carefully and toss the tender baby greens into salads, a delicious early reward. The remaining plants will continue to grow, forming plump, sweet roots ready for harvest in roughly 8 weeks. Fall beets thrive in cooler weather, which keeps their texture crisp and their flavor earthy sweet rather than bitter. Mulch lightly to maintain moisture, and in milder climates, they'll even overwinter for an early spring harvest. Beets are the gardener's lesson in efficiency, beauty, nutrition, and abundance all rolled into one crop. They're proof that simplicity can be profoundly generous, giving twice while asking for almost nothing in return. And now, to close out your October garden, let's uncover a leafy secret most gardeners overlook. A humble green so hardy it thrives under snow and greets spring before anything else. Crop number 10, mache, corn salad. Mache, also known as corn salad or lamb's lettuce, is the secret gem of the winter garden, a soft, buttery green that laughs at frost and keeps growing while most vegetables give up. It's the salad you can harvest when your garden is buried in snow. Science from University of Minnesota Cold Crop Lab, 2022, explains why mache is such a cold weather marvel. Unlike most greens, it continues photosynthesis even under light snow, maintaining metabolic activity at soil temperatures as low as 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Its compact rosettes hug the ground, creating their own microclimate that protects the delicate leaves from wind and ice damage. How to sow? Scatter the tiny seeds across loose, well-drained soil and gently press them into the surface. No need to bury them deeply. They germinate best in cool conditions around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the seedlings appear, they'll slowly form dense, low rosettes of tender leaves that can be harvested individually or cut as full clusters. You can sow mache in October and forget about it until late winter or early spring. With minimal effort, you'll have fresh greens ready to cut long before most gardeners can even think about planting. If protected under a simple frost cloth or cold frame, mache can produce continuously through the coldest months. There's something deeply comforting about this plant. Its quiet persistence, its refusal to give up even when the world turns gray. Mache doesn't demand. It endures, offering freshness and vitality when everything else sleeps. It's the green that whispers, not shouts. A reminder that life and beauty can thrive even beneath the snow. 10 crops, 10 lessons from nature. Each one proving that fall isn't the end of the garden. It's the beginning of something resilient, sweet, and quietly alive beneath the frost. Why fall-sown crops thrive? The secret behind fall gardening isn't luck, it's science. Plants that thrive in cool seasons have evolved mechanisms perfectly tuned for survival and sweetness. Research from the USDA Plant Adaptation Division, 2023, shows that vegetables with strong root or bulb structures, such as garlic, beets, and onions, store carbohydrates and nutrients deep underground, allowing them to endure freezing temperatures without damage. These reserves act as internal heaters, keeping the plant's core tissues alive when surface growth pauses. At Cornell University's Cold Weather Crop Research Center, scientists discovered that exposure to near-freezing temperatures activates antifreeze proteins in greens like spinach, kale, and mache. These proteins prevent ice crystals from rupturing cell walls, preserving leaf structure and enhancing texture and flavor. Meanwhile, findings from a UC Davis agricultural sustainability study reveal that cool season crops require up to 60% fewer chemical or organic inputs. Pest populations drop sharply in lower temperatures, and decomposing autumn mulch enriches soil fertility naturally. The takeaway is clear. Fall gardening isn't about fighting nature. It's about aligning with it. These plants aren't fragile. They're designed for the gentle patience of cool months, thriving quietly when most gardens rest. And the reward for that patience? When spring arrives, your soil is rich, your plants are strong, and your garden is already weeks ahead. Proof that even in stillness, nature never truly stops working. October isn't the end of gardening. It's the beginning of renewal. Spinach, radishes, lettuce, arugula, garlic, kale, peas, carrots, beets, and mache all prove that you don't need endless effort to grow abundance. You just need timing, trust, and a willingness to let nature lead. According to the National Gardening Association, 2023, older gardeners who practice low-effort, seasonal planting report higher satisfaction and lower winter stress. Watching green shoots break through frost brings a sense of calm purpose, a reminder that life continues, even in dormancy. So this fall, resist the urge to close your garden's doors. Instead, tuck a few seeds into the soil, cover them gently, and let the earth do its quiet work. When spring sunlight returns, you'll already be harvesting, living proof that growth doesn't end with the cold. Because the best gardens, like the best lives, don't quit when the season changes. They rest, recharge, and rise again.